So I know I have been missing for quite a while. And the thing is, I turned 50 this past June. And when you hit a milestone, I think you should take a time to really sit back and look at your life. But this birthday hit me a little bit different, not because of 50, because I'm not an ageist. I don't feel like you've hit a wall or any of that when you turn 50, because your girls still look good. Ain't no filters on this, honey. This is straight. This is, let me lift it up. Let me lift it up, honey. I don't believe you hit a wall, at 50. That's just some foolishness that somebody made up. But I do believe that we should take a moment to really look at our lives and ask ourselves, is this what we want? So let me give you a little backstory. So back in May, because I'm a very spiritual woman, I'm not a religious woman, but I'm a very, very spiritual woman. And if you're a part of my All Things Feminine Social Club, you know that I always give you what's to come at least a year to 18 months before it hits. And I always teach my ladies and show them how to prepare, because I know something is coming. I may not know exactly what it is, but I follow. I've learned how to trust what I'm hearing on the inside without needing the rug to be pulled from up under me to follow it. And I always share it with my ladies in the All Things Feminine Social Club. So with that, I felt like it was a shift had happened within myself. And guys, you all know that I shut down my dating academy. We started it back up because my daughter and son-in-law wanted to do it, and my daughter's doing amazing things. And I was like, ooh, I shut it down. People were like, oh, she shut it down. It's not working. No, I shut it down. And we had about 500 members. And that's kind of let me know that I know I was shifting. I knew that I was being led into something else. But like I said, my daughter and son-in-law, they were running it. It was doing great. I just was not in that space anymore. So I started really sitting down once I turned 50 and looked at my life and looked at what my goal was in life. And when you really sit down and look at your life and look at everything that you're doing, you may realize you actually accomplished the goal that you set out to accomplish. So when my birthday hit, I had a birthday party, but there was a shift, a huge shift. A friend of mine came by the house a couple of days after the party, and we started talking. And he said, something about you has changed. I said, I know, I've been feeling this change for a very long time. And I said, I've outgrown what the world knows me as. And then I realized I'm damn good at what I do. When it comes to understanding human behavior, when it comes to understanding femininity from its core, not this foolishness that we have on the internet now. For those of you that may not know, when it comes to this whole femininity conversation, the way that it is now, plastered all over the place, I started that in 2015-16 when I went viral on on Facebook, because I responded to a 2020 television show broadcast that was talking about, why Black women didn't have a husband, and everything that they listed of why they should have a husband had nothing to do with what they were being, but what they were actually doing. So I chimed in and I talked about femininity from a place of doing versus being. That is what always separated me from the masses. And I always made sure I taught you that femininity has nothing to do with a man. Femininity can enhance the type of man that you get, but femininity has nothing to do with a man, your relationship status, being a mother, or it has to do with anything that you give to anyone else. Okay? So I started that conversation, and since then it has gone down the toilet. It has become luxury. It has become Things you can buy at the beauty supply store. It's become the color pink. It has become class. It has become decorum. It has become, long eyelashes. And none of this has ever had anything to do with the femininity that I have taught. And so I see the girls are still not getting, after all these years, the girls still are not getting the results that they want because they're being taught femininity from people who are using it to monetize. But those people can never have a conversation about what true femininity is without including a man. That's how you'll know the difference, love. If every time someone you follow talk about femininity and always talk about a man or about, it's about receiving and putting yourself in a posture to receive, they're very limited on what femininity is, because that's not it. And I've been teaching you this for years. And so I remember I said femininity has nothing to do with a man, because people would say, well, if your femininity worked, where your husband at? I'm like, I've been married already, and femininity has nothing to do with a man. Or I would see married women say, well, I don't really need femininity, I got a husband. I'm like, so you really think that you were put on this earth to serve somebody? Like, you don't think that you have your own autonomy. You don't think your femininity is for you. You think you were only put on this earth to be somebody's mother and wife? Now, we can incorporate femininity into those things, but that's not what the core of femininity is. And like I said, I have videos on that. I've taught that. But as I started going along, after my 50th birthday, and I took this whole summer, what I called my sensual summer sabbatical, I tuned into me to see what it is that I wanted at this point, and also looking at how far we have gone away from the script. So my first YouTube video was in 2008, and it was all about healing and transformation. You guys know I'm all about healing and transformation. And then I got into the relationship space, well, more so the dating space, because I understand human behavior and I understand the masculine and feminine dynamic very, very well. And so because of that, women would start getting all of these results. And it's like, okay, Miss April, you do know what you're talking about. I'm like, yeah, it's not like, it's not hard. If you pick up a book and, I got a lot of feedback throughout the years. Well, I ain't listening to her. She ain't married. Well, but you will listen to a male trainer train you on your female body. That was always weird to me. It's like people buy houses from people that have never purchased a home. Your realtor may have never purchased a home, but you will listen. What I've learned is through study, is through understanding human behavior, is understanding the male brain. Now, I don't know everything about a man, but I'm doggone sure can tell you pretty much what a man is going to do, because I've studied how they move, what moves them. And what we live in now is a time where women want men to move like they move, and that doesn't work. That's why some of us may not have the horror stories that other women may have. Have I gone through things? Did I go through a divorce? Yeah, I got married in my 20s when I shouldn't have been married. I didn't know what I know now, nor did I have anybody teaching me those things. So I've been married. I've done the thing. I cannot say, I started dating. My mom let me go on my first date at 15. So I have been dating pretty much, and been married, dating, and all that time, pretty much dealing with men and boys since I was 15 years old. So when you've been dealing with them, and then you can honestly say, even though I've had situations that happen, it didn't break me. That's a different conversation. That's talking from a different place. So as I started watching and seeing things on the internet, and I saw all these broken women with microphones, like, you can always tell where a woman is by the conversations that she has. When you hear people talking about, how to know if he an F-boy, or a toxic man, or 5 ways to know that, he's narcissistic, those aren't the people that you should be listening to, because healed people, we don't talk from that perspective. If you go and look at my videos, I always talk to you on becoming. We don't sit here and deal with I never taught you how to figure out if a man is toxic or not. What I did do is I taught you on the bank philosophy. When you are a bank teller at a bank, banks teach you on what real money is. They don't waste their time teaching you how to find the counterfeit. And we live in a time where people would always focus on looking for red flags to where they didn't even know green flags. And as years went by and I'm doing this work and I'm like, I can't do this no more, because the women that started coming were more damaged, but they were proficient. They were academically proficient, and they were not only academically proficient, they were proficient in traumas. And no matter how much I would try to show them the other side about the identity switch, which is why I did the TED Talk, which is why I wrote the book, they're constantly listening to people who continue to reinforce their traumas. So if you ever want to know where a person is that has a microphone, listen to the conversations that they are having with you. Look at what they're trying to warn you about. People that are not on crack, they don't sit there and talk about crack all day. People who have overcome a thing, their conversation is on the other side of a thing. And you know what did it for me was years ago, one of my mentors, when I was really talking about my traumas and things I went through, she pulled me to the side, probably about 2011, between 2010 and 2011. She said, "Baby, come here." She said, "We all know your story. We know how you overcame this, the abuse, the domestic violence, all of the things. When are you going to talk about something different?" And if you notice, my content has not been that since then. So I worked on not talking about the things that I didn't want. So when I would talk to you all and tell you that there were wonderful men out there, I'm talking from a place of a healed woman who gets to experience that. But I didn't want to get married. Now that's a whole nother conversation. So as I am going through all of these thoughts after I turned 50, I said, I'm over it. I'm over this conversation because, number one, people are walking around in fear. And number two, it's hard for people who have not experienced good to listen to you tell you that there's good on the other side. So I realized I'm good at what I do, but I wasn't passionate about what I do. And I really start to think about that. How many of us are really great at what it is that we do, but we're not passionate about it? It makes money. It allows us to take care of ourselves. We're very good at it, but we're not really passionate about it. I've never been passionate about the dating space. I've always been passionate about the transformation space, because I know in order to get to the other side of the dating, the transformation has to happen. So I said, all right, what will my life look like next? And as I continue to go on this summer, I'm traveling, I'm all over the place, enjoying life. It hit me that the reason why I'm no longer as ambitious as I used to be is because my ambition was fueled by my trauma. This is what I mean. Growing up for me, we didn't have a lot. And we got, evicted. There was, I lost a lot of homes, had cars repossessed and the whole nine, right? And my grandfather died, who was my rock. When he died, my grandmother sold our family home. And that was the home that you go to when you go into Big Mama's house, because that's what we called her. You go to Big Mama's house for all of the holidays. That was where we had fun, our Easter egg hunts in the backyard. That's what we had. Well, my grandmother, before she passed, she said that she made the mistake of selling all of the land that my grandfather had left. He had left each child, if I'm not mistaken, 25 acres of land. So she sold that plus the homes that we had in California. And I recently went home to California and I went by my grandparents' house and they bought the house. I was young. I was little when they bought that house, like elementary, first grade little. And they sold the house in 1997 for $124,000, Berkeley, California. Well, when I went by there, me being nosy, I looked up the house. That house, not even 1,500 square feet, was worth $1.8 million now. And so as I was going on with my life and not realizing that my whole reason for being of service to people and helping people transform and helping women understand femininity and feminine language and teaching them how to date and all those wonderful things, I didn't realize the more I served people, the more I was getting to my goal. And my goal in life, I only had one goal in life, y'all. Just one, based on my trauma. And that goal was to purchase a house cash so nobody could ever take it from me. And it hit me a few months ago that I accomplished that goal in 2017. I'm sorry, at 47 in 2023. Where did 2017 come from? But I accomplished that goal. And I'm like, wait a minute. Everything that I set out to do, I actually did. And I realized once that goal was accomplished, I start watching myself decompress. I didn't want to do more. You notice I wasn't doing podcasts. I got so many interview requests to do podcasts. I think I only did did I do one this year? I did one this year. Two. I did two this year. Women of Impact. And I did Hardly Initiated. And last year, I think I did 2, maybe 3. But I had accomplished the goal. So the more I started walking in the goal that I set out, I realized I'm not as ambitious as I thought I was. I was driven by my trauma to ensure that my family, we would never be homeless again, and that we had a home like my grandmother had and my grandfather had that could be the family home. That if anything goes wrong, kids, y'all know where y'all can come to the house, y'all know, and that's what I have. So being in that position and having those aha moments, it's like, wow. My whole purpose for doing this, I don't have that purpose anymore. I don't want to teach dating anymore. I definitely talk about femininity, but I talk about it behind closed doors, inside of our All Things Feminine Social Club community, where we have over 400 members there. So I started really sitting and thinking, and I said, okay, well, I got that part right. All right. I don't have that same ambition, and my ambition came from my trauma, and I don't want to hear nothing else about that because I'm no longer her anymore. I said, okay, so how do I want to show up in the world? I said, I'm going to change my wardrobe. I want to dress like the 1950s, and I love the way I dress. I dress like this every day. Every day. This is my attire. When I'm traveling, I have vintage luggage now. To me, 1950s was the most glamorous time for women's fashion. And as I traveled, what caused that was as I went across the country, went across the world, I noticed that women didn't get dressed anymore. I noticed that everything was athleisure wear. I noticed that in every airport that I went in, women were just looked tired and bland. And we have always been the color of the world. Women were not taking the time to put themselves first, to enjoy what it meant being a woman. So I said, let me get rid of all these clothes. So I got rid of all these clothes and I started buying new things, but I didn't have to really buy a lot because I looked at my photo shoots over the last 5 years and they're all 1950s vintage inspired. Now, I don't like the old antique type vintage stuff now. I like a little splash of modern, with it. But I noticed all my photo shoots over the last 5 years have been that. And so I said, this is how I want to show up at 50. Y'all see I got my little waves and everything. There's no filters or nothing. Did I say it again? There's no filters. And this is how I wanted to show up in the world. I travel with some really cute vintage luggage. I don't know. Oh, it's over there. I'm packed, getting ready to go somewhere shortly. But this is how I show up. I love getting on the train dressed in this manner, And as a Black woman, I'm treated totally different. And one of the things that I notice is that, unfortunately, across the board, women have become the same aesthetic, same hair, same clothing. One of the things that made it very hard for me to even, I won't say hard, but it made it a little bit more challenging to even find the vintage inspired styles that I like, is that they don't make them like that anymore. And the material today is horrible. So I had to go do some deep dive in it to find I actually found this hat at a cutesy little consignment store. So I started really looking at, like I said, my life and what it is that I wanted and what it meant to show up at 50 for me now. No, I don't want to be all over the internet talking about the same old stuff that I talked about. I realized that my first job was at 15, so I've been working for 35 freaking years. I'm just not there anymore. I have enough courses, enough content. We are redoing my YouTube channel, meaning, with that said, I don't want to do the Feminine Ear radio show. My team came. I see Candace. He was there. He came and set up my studio. I don't want to talk about that. I don't want to talk about men, even though I love y'all. I don't want to. I don't want to be the teacher in this season of my life. Now, you guys know it's always in me. I can teach by example, or, by photos, and, I can teach without teaching, but that's not who I am right now. Yes, I got my honorary doctorate in psychology. I don't want to be Dr. Mason right now. I don't want to be the professor. I don't want to lecture. That's not where I am right now. And so I had to look at, what does that look like? Because when you have been doing a thing for so long, man, it could be a challenge trying to figure out your new identity. This is why I wrote the book Identity Switch, because every version of you requires something else. And I just don't want to do that. I don't. I want to have a good time. And one of the things, in addition to that I looked at, is friendships. I had to reevaluate friendships and what I deemed as a friendship. So some things happened for my birthday that I was not really pleased with, and it just caused me to think. But some other stuff has started happening over the last few years. And one person that I had been friends with for a very long time, till I realized 2 years ago that we were never friends. This person was more of a mentor to me. And how I determined that was they were a mentor to me during the time when I was going through my divorce. And I needed that. I think we met right after my divorce. And this person had become a mentor to me, not really a friend per se, because my definition of friend is someone who is there for you. Because I'm a good friend. And people will tell you I show up. If anything, it goes down, I am there. I can say that honestly about myself, and others who have been call themselves my friend. I call them a friend. If they're honest, they can tell you that too, because I'm extremely loyal when I am your friend, and I show up for your special moments when you let me know about them. I will check on you when I don't hear from you. But what I realized is, starting 2 years ago, as I started to really look at my definition of friendship, I wasn't getting the same thing. I start realizing every time I saw this person, the one that I'm no longer friends with after 2023, it was always me going. Anytime I would have a special moment, I would send out an invite. They would never show up. But we could have long conversations over the phone and kiki and whatnot. But I wasn't being in tune that this is not your definition of friendship, April. And what really got me is none of my friends ever came to see my Christmas cafe before we closed it down and decided to move it to another city. And it really hit me. I'm like, wait a minute. If you're not careful, you can get caught up in texting, and it could give you the illusion that you have a friendship with people that you don't have. Okay, let me say that again. You can get so caught up in texting that it can give you the illusion that you have a friendship with people that you really do not have. And so I thought about it and I said, nobody came to see my cafe. I've watched them go all over the United States and all over the world, and nobody came to see my cafe. And this was something that I sunk a lot of money, hundreds of thousands of dollars into of my own money. And not one of my close inner circle friends came to see it. And I thought about that. Now, I did tell Dr. Bobby about himself, and he said, you know what? You're absolutely right. And he said, I want to be a better friend to you. Now, Dr. Bobby, despite him not coming, Dr. Bobby Price, if I need anything, like I will say he's been the most consistent. He's the newest to my circle. I think we met in 2019, but he's been the most consistent in my circle. That if I call him now and say all hell broke loose, he's going to be there. And so instead of him pushing back or, giving me all of these excuses, he said, I apologize for that. I should have been there. And I want to be a better friend to you. Everybody else on my birthday, I got a text message from. And I thought about that. I'm like, wait, this is my 50th. And so I started really looking at the people that I held close to me. They did not come to support me in person on anything. It was always me going to them. So I just decided to move on. And which brings me to making new friends in your 50s. I'll be talking about that in future videos on YouTube. Making friends in your 50s, because I realized the only friend, like hold me down friend that will show up in person friend that I actually have is Dr. Bobby and a girl that I went to high school with, Denisha D. That's who my people are. I'm not looking at people that I text. I'm talking about people that show up for me as much as I show up for everyone else. And the thing was, I don't have them. I don't have them. I have people that may check on me via text or whatever, but when it's time to show up, I don't have them. So I am in the process of making new friends at 50. Because how I define friendship, I had to look at my definition. It's those that show up. Those that are there for your moments, not just via a phone call. My definition of people that are as friends are people that I spend time with without me having to be the one to always go. So the friendship that I ended in 2023, I realized I was the only one. So I said, okay, based on my definition of friendship, who is my friend? It would be Dr. Bobby and it would be Denisha. Because anytime I have something, D is right there. Some of y'all have seen her. I texted her the other day because I'm doing an event in Atlanta. And I said, girl, I'm doing this event, because I'm going to be doing a lot more, keeping you guys updated, but on my YouTube channel. But I told her I was doing something and I said, you down? She said, I'm there. What day is it? I said, it's October this, and this is where I'll be. She was like, I got you. And I had to go to Cancun. I said, you want to go? She was like, yep, I'm there. So anytime I actually need a person in person, I can honestly say these two are the ones that actually show up. Now, do I have other people that may not be in my inner circle that show up for me? Yes. Like I see LaSonia here. LaSonia, I met her in my All Things Feminine Social Club. No, I met you before that. She was in my dating academy, and I will say LaSonia, I will say Rain, I will say Trina, I will say Chrissy, Paula, and it's a couple more. I'm sorry if I do not say your names, but they've all been there. If I need something, they're there. When I was sick, I got sick during the time when I had the cafe and I really couldn't do much. Rain came from Pittsburgh. Trina came from Detroit, and LaSonia came from Atlanta to be there. Yes, I did let them know about my definition of friendship to the person that asked. And they were like, you know what, you're right. But at the end of the day, they still didn't show up. So I'm a person that you don't get a lot of chances with because I know what I am, so you don't get I have to just, the way I move, I look at it as people do what they want to do and they don't do what they don't want to do. When I can see you being a friend, when you can say, well, you know what, I'm about to go to such and such because I gotta my friend, she has this event and I gotta go to, and it's in Philadelphia. So you know how to show the hell up. It's just who you choose to show up for. So, but as I was saying, although the ladies that I met in my own community, they show up. I did a party, a Halloween party. LaSonia came from Atlanta, Trina came from Detroit, and Trina came from Detroit, and Rain. Those three, I can say, will always show up. And I met them in my community, and they were like, "What do you need?" Trina was over there over concessions. Rain and LaSonia were over taking money they were at the registration table. So even though they were not in my inner circle, these are women that still show up for me. So I'm very aware and very grateful for them, as well too. I also said that I had to make sure that the people that were in my circle this time around, we were on the same level. There's levels to friendships as well too. I was in Atlanta recently and I went out with a couple friends, and I realized I was the smartest one in the group because everybody wanted me around because of what I know about men and the response that they always got when I was around. So I stopped hanging out because I wasn't getting any value. Everybody in my phone has to be of value to me because I know the value that I am to them. And so I started realizing when I was in Atlanta, I was in Atlanta for like 2 weeks recently, and I'm like, they all want me to come out, but I'm listening at why they want me to come out. It was because of the men that would approach us when I was around versus when I wasn't. So I was being used. And I'm like, nah, because I go out by myself. I have no problem with that. But they were like, you meet different kind of men when we with you. So is it my friendship that you want, or is it what I attract what you want? Especially being in Atlanta, where they say that, the men aren't men, and I've never experienced that in Atlanta. So I had to look at that too. So I was like, okay, this is a person that's really not my friend. This is a person that benefits from who I am and what I bring to the friendship. And I got nothing from the friendship. So like I said, turning 50 caused me to open my eyes completely. And I realized a lot of people wanted me around for the man stuff, or people that would call me friend even on social media, whether they were celebrities or whether they were, very influential people. They would call me friend, but they only called me when they had a man problem. They would call me when it's like, okay, April, what would April do? So I was like, okay, so this is my value to people. It's not just that, who I am, it's what they can siphon from me. And I was like, okay, so that's not my definition of a friend. So I said, well, I have to meet women on my level of where I am, where I'm not just the smartest one in the room. So I'm going through all of this, you guys, after I turned 50, and it's just been a lot. And then those of you that some of you know, I don't really talk about it, but for the last 5 years, I have been a caretaker for a child that was diagnosed with mental health issues. And I don't know if you guys remember, but in 2020, my adopted son committed suicide, which caused my youngest son to just snap. So for the last 5 years, I have had to wrap my brain around the fact that my child was diagnosed with these mental health issues. And it was a struggle because the son that I had at 20 is no longer him at 21. It's like a light switch that just went off. So most of you didn't know, I was a caretaker. And it was like I had to teach him everything that I taught him when he was a child. It's like, he's 27 now. Imagine a 27-year-old being stuck in a 15-year-old brain. So this was a lot for me over the last 5 years that I didn't share. And it changes your entire family. Doctor's appointment. And accepting the diagnosis, watching him not be the person that I raised. So for 5 years, y'all, I was dealing with that. Then you guys know I was diagnosed with lupus. I've been trying to heal my nervous system. It was a lot going on that I smiled and continued to educate you all and to continue to serve and pour out my wisdom. But behind the scenes, it was a lot. And if you're a caretaker of an elderly parent or a adult child with mental health issues, you know how tedious it is and how burdensome it can be. So thank God, we found, we have him with professionals now that can, that are equipped to handle his diagnosis, so that I don't have that on me anymore, but it totally beat me down. And people were like, why people ask me, well, she do this, why is she married? Hell, I ain't got time to look at nobody the way that I want to, because I have this over here, that I'm dealing with. And then on top of that, going through perimenopause. So I like you one day and the next day I don't. So that's something that I'm going to be talking about on my YouTube channel as well. How draining, it can be. You're going through perimenopause. You are dealing with a child diagnosed with mental health issues with over the last 5 years. We went through COVID. You diagnosed with the lupus. You're trying to heal your nervous system. Everything is everything. And it's just like, now what? Now what? Like I said, men are coming at you left and right, trying to lock you in, and you like, hold on, I gotta get these hormones under control because I don't know if I like you or not. Because Perry is parrying, and some days I want to be in your skin, and the next day it's like, oh my goodness. And so this is everything that's going on that you guys don't get to see. Okay? And so I'm just like, all right, let me take this summer to figure this out. Where do I want to be? Right? So what ended up happening is I decided, what makes me tick? What do I want to talk about? Because there's a lot that I haven't shared on the flip side of that. I'm just giving you guys like the cliff notes right now. So I decided that I want to talk about in this season of my life identity switching in midlife. The midlife identity switch, the midlife switch, redesigning your life in midlife. Because when I tell you, I'm having so much fun now and I'm learning what makes me happy. Okay. I'm learning that. She says, how do we get back to dating though? You guys are going to have to follow me on my YouTube because girl, I promise you, I'm going to be talking about that. I'm going to be talking about dating in midlife, how you feel about men may be a big issue dealing with your hormones. It is, even though you desire and like, oh, I want to be in a relationship. I want to be loved on right. And I want to be married and all those things. But your hormones are saying, I like being by myself. I like my peace. I like my space. I like being in my house alone. And so, yeah, I'm going to be walking you through it. I'm going to be walking you through what happened when I got the testosterone pellets, because my testosterone, we realized I didn't have none. I'm going to walk y'all through that. I'm going to walk y'all through everything that happened with that. I'm going to, give you the other side. And I said, I don't want to do the Feminine Ear podcast because I don't want to help nobody with their problems like that. I don't want to be just known for that. Now, what we are going to do is we are going to organize my YouTube channel. So all of my YouTube followers, I know y'all like, she ain't been over here in years, honey. But I'm going to organize it to where you can watch the April Mason archives. So we've downloaded all of my Instagram lives, and we're going to chop them up and we're going to put them in a vault. And so you can watch them on YouTube. Another thing is, a lot of things I won't be talking about that I used to talk about, I talk about in my All Things Feminine Social Club, because one of the biggest issues I believe that women have right now, and why men got their draws in a bunch, is because women talk too much and there's no discretion. See, and this is just me. I feel like everything that men are seeing that women are doing now, for the most part, the women that came before us did it too. The only difference is they had discretion. So I don't believe that women understand that internet is not the only way to reach people. I started having salons and meeting with a group of women in person, several years ago. Because I believe that although we're able to reach the masses, we need to move like Harriet Tubman did. We need to be quiet. We need to have these conversations, and when you hear men now say, well, our grandmothers didn't do that. Well, you knew your grandmother as a grandmother. You didn't know her as a woman, honey. Let me say that again. You knew your grandmother as a grandmother. You did not know her as a woman. And women back then had discretion. Everybody wants to get on the internet and teach. Now, I'm a teacher as well, but if you notice, I've never given you the everything, the insight on how to do this to that, to where it would cause the men folks to get their draws in a bunch. I put that behind a paywall. And I hosted events. But one of the biggest issues that women are having now is they're trying to move like men do and be able to do what men do, but we cannot do that. So I have hosted salons. I've hosted, when I had my headquarters in Atlanta, I had a beautiful headquarters. I would have in-person meetings. Everything is not meant to be said online. If the only people you can impact are people online, are you that impactful? When was the last time you got some girls together and said, you know what, come over for tea, honey. Let's meet up and let's have these conversations in private. A lot of the men are, always say the women aren't like my grandmothers. Yes, they are. Your grandmother just was quiet. And fellas, you got to understand, when you guys say these modern women aren't like the women of the past, who do you think are telling us not to be like they were? It was them. But I believe those conversations should be had in private. So I have been doing that, having these conversations, excuse me, in private, so that everything is not out there. And there was a certain level of mystery and decorum and discretion that women would have, even when they were considered the loose women. They still had some discretion with it. We're not in a time where women have that anymore. And so I just believe, and this is just an April Mason-ism, the world is not going to change until women rise up in a feminine manner, because we have masculine men running the world, and we have more masculine presenting women who are fighting them in the same way. So until you learn, excuse me, until the world of women learn how to move differently, you're going to always be dealing with the dictatorship. And the only thing that causes the masculine to crumble is the feminine. That's it. It's always been that way. Anywho, that's another conversation for another day. And if you are in the All Things Feminine Social Club and you've watched my 2-part series on the dark feminine, you know I have talked about this in depth. And if you need to go watch it again, go watch it. So as I'm going back into my story about what's been going on, everything that I've shared with you is what's been going on. Deciding what I want to do, how I want to do it, if I want to do anything. I had to also ask myself, did you want to get married again? That's the one everybody been waiting for. I know I said I did, until I had to realize, what does marriage at this stage look like for me? Or did I just want companionship? What does that look like? So we're going to be talking about that. And so with that, I decided that I do want to continue to share with you all, but I want to share from a completely different space. And it's the space that I'm currently in. Midlife shift is what I'm having. And my audience is a majority of women 40, 45 and over. Empty nesters, not knowing what to do with your life, shifting out of the old version of you, realizing that the soft life that you're looking for may require a career change. We're going to be talking about that as well too. You no longer are the 30-year-old you, and that's okay. And of course, you guys, I know you wanted me to talk about how do you start dating again at this stage when you're going through all this. I can talk about that a little bit as well too. But I want to talk about the lifestyle that you can create by making an identity shift, a visible identity shift with your life. And one of those that I did was how I chose to show up in the world. I chose to show up in the world dressed like a beautiful dame in the 1950s. So since I'm 50 and they're trying to take us back to our government is trying to take us back to the 50s, why not go back to the glamorous part of the 50s, but with some knowledge, with some autonomy, honey, with some understanding. No, I will not be doing the feminine ear because I don't want to educate y'all. I don't want to talk about that no more. I am so over it. Now I may do something a little bit, to where you can learn, but I just don't want to. And one of the things that I've learned in this season is just because I'm good at a thing doesn't mean I have to do it. Just because it makes me a lot of money doesn't mean I have to do it. I don't want to. I don't want to do it. I can talk to the fellas and I can give y'all tips all day and night. My receipts be receipting. My receipts are long and strong. And I know, like I said in the beginning, over the years, people, she's not married. How can she help us? Well, the same way a realtor who doesn't own a house can help you buy a house. The same way y'all will go get a male personal trainer at the gym. He don't have a woman's body. The same way you will allow a man to deliver your baby or allow a man to be your gynecologist. He will never have a vagina. He will never know what it's like to push out a baby. But because he's studied, because he's taken interest in, he put his time in, you trust it, and he has the receipts. That's how I feel. I've been studying human behavior, the male-female dynamic since the 10th grade. I had to fight through my own traumas when I got married to realize that I shouldn't have been married in the first place. That's why the ladies that I've worked with and that really did the work, they're thriving. They got the type of man that they wanted. And so I just always have believed that if you put in the time and you study, you can become whatever it is that you want to become. And I just took interest in it. It was a sociology class is where I got my ding. I love human behavior. I love the male female dynamic. And I wanted to go deeper in it. And this is why my receipts are long and strong, even though I'm not married. It's not hard when you understand, and when you're a person who does not place your values on everyone else. I think that's one of my superpowers. I can have my own set of values, and not be biased toward you because we don't believe the same thing. I can literally listen to my enemy tell me how to get something that I'm trying to get done, and they still can be an enemy. But my ears aren't so closed off because I'm so caught up in my emotions. Okay? So I believe that's one of my superpowers, not being biased towards people who do not share my same values, and still be able to converse with them. So I believe that having that as a superpower is something that has always put me in rooms that I was not qualified to be in. Okay. So I will be doing more content and showing you all what I've been doing. One of the things that I will be doing is I decided I wanted to really work on my raw vegan sweet potato pie business. So anything that's easy for me. Like in this season, it's all about ease. Even when it comes to making an income, it can't be anything that requires hustle, grind, or anything like that. That's just not what I'm doing. But my raw vegan sweet potato pie is, I did the event in at the end of 2022 at Fifth Plaza. I did an entire tasting and it went fantastic. And I've been having people wanting to order pies, and it's just so simple for me, and it puts me in my healing my nervous system space. And I'll be talking about that on my YouTube channel as well. And I'm thinking about doing an audio podcast as well, because my age demographic, we don't really care about video as much as we care about listening to something. If you're like me, I have about 100 audiobooks on my phone. I listen, I can have a video on, but I'm not watching it. I'm listening to it. And so I said, you know what if I did do a podcast about redesigning your life in midlife, but do it audio only because of the demographic I'm trying to target. So I may end up doing that, but I also will be bringing you some fun stuff on my YouTube channel of the things that I'm trying. How do I, because y'all be saying I don't be looking 50 or whatnot. Let me lift it up a little bit. Y'all be saying I don't be looking 50 and everything like that. So what is my beauty regimen? What do I do? The places that I go, how I shop, I'll take you all through the remodeling of my home. Although I pay cash for my house, it was built in 1940. And I have remodeled since the last time I showed you guys. I've remodeled the kitchen, the living room, the bathrooms. So I make it in my own little space. And so I'll be showing you those things, my travel. I'm supposed to be in London and Paris next week. So it's just a lot going on that I realized I needed this summer to decide who I wanted to be in this season. I needed to decide that. And how do I want to reposition myself so that I can show up differently for my audience? And I know I'm going to lose people. I've lost folks on my email list because I let them know, you can unsubscribe because I'm going in a different direction. If you follow me simply for man stuff or relationship stuff or whatnot, I'm not going to be giving a lot of that. However, like I said, you'll be able to go on my YouTube channel and look at the April Mason vaults. You'll be able to look at those things. there, the stuff that we put there. But that's not where I am. It's all about fun. I'm not watching the news. I understand all of the stuff that's going on in the world. But y'all, you got to understand, this has always gone on. There's never been a time that we have not had nations against nations. We have not had racism. We have not had dictatorship. There's never been a time that these things did not exist. For every good, there has to be a bad. For every up, there has to be a down. So I said, I don't want to see anything on the news. I started changing my TikTok algorithm. And now all I see is vintage stuff, you know, on my algorithm now, and DIY projects and all kind of little, you know, things that make you happy. I believe that we're in a time where you can be whoever you want to be. You just have to decide. I believe that if for those of you who are still out there, because y'all know I'm a lover girl, so I still love and romance. I believe if that's what you want, it's available to you. I just believe that you have to change how you show up in the world. You have to change what you think. You have to change what you believe. You have to go check your hormones, girl, to see if why you want a man in your mind, but your hormones one day like him, the next day you don't. You got to get that checked out, because you could be, it's almost like your foot is on the gas and the brake at the same time, is what it is. So I'm definitely going to be talking to you about that and some things that you can actually do to get yourself together, girl, because I know you want a boo. I know you do. But I also understand at this stage in our lives that our hormones can cause us to feel like we're out of control. And I'm going to talk about how I thought I had dementia, because I couldn't remember nothing. Y'all, it's been a journey. It's been a journey, you guys, because I'm like, is something wrong with me? I don't remember nothing. Like, I was pausing mid-sentence and be like, I could be talking and I know what I should be saying, but my brain is not braining. And I'm like, I need you to go upstairs and get the, and I know, it's right here. I know I want them to go upstairs to get a pillow, but my brain is like, it won't let it come out. And so I had to go through all of these tests, honey, trying to figure myself out. I'm like, what's going on? I'm like, I got dementia? And I'll be crying myself to sleep like, oh my God, I can't believe something's going on with me. I don't remember nothing. I don't even understand. I just, what happened? I know I'm smart. I know I'm in smarts. I'm in special. But what is it? Why do I feel like I don't know nothing? Why can't I put the noun and the verb together no more? Like, what why is my elbow aching? Why is my whole body ache when I walk? What is this? And then imagine going through all this and men trying to lock you down at the same time. The brain fog be brain fogging. And I said, I am so glad that I figured, at least I'm on the road of figuring out the bulk of this before I got into another relationship. Because I probably would have been divorced again and ran him away, y'all. Because if you notice, women going through a divorce typically go through it during this stage, and then on snap, that's when they kill that man. And I didn't know what raging hormones meant until now. It was like, what is going on? And it's almost like I just wanted to put my hand in my brain and just shake it and be like, oh, what the crap is going on with you? I'm just so tired of you. Get your together. Like, it was just that. I wasn't having hot flashes or anything. I was just like overly emotional. I'm like, this is not the life that I signed up for. So I was just going through it, y'all. I was really going through it. And so with that, I wouldn't count. I always say, if you're in the All Things Feminine Social Club and, under our perimenopause and menopause group, I gave them all the tests that they needed to go get done. And I can't wait to share with you what happened. I found out the cause. I'm going through perimenopause. Somebody asked, did I find out the cause? I'm going through perimenopause. And I get on my daughter, who's 31. I'm like, listen, get your ish together now. I'm going to walk you through this. I might not have been able to walk you through everything, but I'm about to walk you through this, or you're going to drive that man crazy. So that even let me know the type of man that I need in this season. I'm like, he going to have to be patient. I need somebody that like me, and he going to be patient, because, and I'm sure the ones that was trying to lock me in during these last 5 years that I've been going through all of this stuff, they might have been, but I'm so glad, y'all, that I didn't, because I would have been so mean to somebody. All they wanted to do was love on me. I would have been so like I said, one day I want to be in your skin and don't leave me. And the next minute I can go 3-4 days without seeing you. But then the next minute it's like, why did you call me? Why did you call me? I did call you, but you didn't call me 2 times. I'm just a girl. But babe, I saw you the other day. I know, but I wanted to see you again today. But you didn't come in. You didn't even see if I ate today. And all I know is just, I saw a dog and I saw the dog with her puppies. And then all of a sudden I just start crying. And I just don't even understand what's going on. But you don't even love me like you say you do. All of that. So girls, this has to get under control. This is why I said, you know what, although I may not be teaching the way that I used to, I really want to talk to the middle-aged woman to let you know there is relief on the other side, and I got to that relief. But I was going through it. I would call Dr. Bobby. I just went to the hospital, Bobby. I had a colonoscopy and an endoscopy or whatever. They put it down my nose. I think I have stomach cancer. He said, April, you ain't got no damn stomach cancer. I don't know. My stomach is hurting, and then everything that I eat, my stomach burns, and I don't even know what's going on. And he's like, all right. So, and I would send Bobby on his vacations. I'm like, friend, this is what the doctor said. This is my results. What that mean? I said, because I don't know. I'm like, and then, oh God. And then with the hormone stuff, you think about, oh my God, I don't want to die. You always think about dying all the doggone time. And what if some tragedy happened? And what if I'm in the house by myself and I die and nobody comes to be here with me? What I want to do. What if I can't get up the stairs? I got all these damn steps. I got like damn near 32 steps in this house. And what if I fall and hit I was always wondering if I fall and hit my head on a point, what will happen if somebody come and save me when nobody even know that I'm here? Y'all, I was literally going through it, y'all. So at this stage in life, I do know that I am not the only woman that have gone through that and is going through it. But there is relief on the other side. It's always funny. I always have to go through everything that I teach before I start talking, right? So I said, I want to talk to my girls. I want to talk to my ladies. I want to talk about the brighter side of this. I want to talk about there is love on the other side of this. I want to talk about that you can be whoever you want to be on the other side of this. I want to talk about that you don't have to be overweight if you don't want to. I want to talk about the foods and the fashion and I've never been a fashion girl, but vintage inspires me. Okay, so that's where I am. That's my life update, y'all. This is where it's been. And let's not talk about being sexy. Like, you guys know my Sensual Summer series. I hope y'all got those ebooks. They were very, very spicy. So I'm in that season too. Because I told you guys my doctor in 2022 put me on a fun, passion, pleasure, excitement, and sexy prescription. And I didn't realize that I wasn't living it. I was going through the motions of it. And she checked me real hard and said, yeah, that's cute, but you haven't been doing and being and living what I prescribed you. And I had to sit back and say, okay, what does this look like? And if you got my Sensual Summer series, especially the ebook She, that's the truth right there. Well, with that, I talked about how to reignite your sensuality and broke down the difference between sensuality and sexuality. And the thing is, I will say, anytime I talk about anything sensual, I lose a lot of my audience because the girls think that sensuality means sex. And the thing is, it doesn't. It can be combined with it, but it doesn't necessarily have to be. So I started realizing I'm evolving, and people that may be on my email list or may have been following me for a long time, they just may not be my audience. Anymore, because I want to talk about fun stuff. Like I want to talk about, deciding at 50 or in your midlife, now that you're an empty nester, about to become an empty nester, who do you want to be? Let's talk about it. Let's talk about who you can be, what you can decide to do, breaking old patterns. And one of the questions that I would always get is from women, but men only want younger women. That's not true. Older women just lose their youthfulness, their playfulness, because we can be all bogged down with stuff that happened in the past, child, and that's over with. And so, yeah, that's a conversation that we definitely will have. But you can't be walking around here with baggage and then expecting somebody to want all of that. It's like, let's be free. It's time for women to be okay with being free in everything. And that's where I am, to where I don't care if people leave. I don't care. I know we have over 500,000 followers here on this page on Facebook, but it's okay if people leave, because what I'm offering now may not be what they're looking for. But we're going to talk about it. So I'm in the process of figuring out how I want to execute all of this, because it has to be, you guys know, I teach a feminine CEO as a woman in business, not a businesswoman. So it cannot interrupt my lifestyle, because it means my business is around my lifestyle, not my lifestyle around my business. And so I had to ask myself, how consistent can I be? This is not about cranking out content, making sure everything is right, making sure, it's perfect. No, that's not what it is for me in this season. It's, you know what? I may want to do a podcast for my midlife ladies and make it audio, so where we can listen while we on that treadmill, listen while we doing some weightlifting, lifting while we are, taking a train ride or whatever. It doesn't have to be always something that keeps your nervous system wired. We have to get used to being able to live out our purpose, but in a different way, in an easier way than just the same old. It got to be perfect. I got to have a team. I got rid of pretty much everybody on the team. I don't need no team, because I'm not trying to do that work like that. I believe that you can create your own soft life, and we're going to talk about that as well on my YouTube channel. So that's my life update, loves. Thank you for giving me an hour of your time. But that's the life update. And slowly but surely, as I check in with my body to see how she's doing, I will be delivering some content to you that hopefully my experience is going to be a lot of laughs, girls. Because I can't wait to tell you about some stuff that happened with these hormones, child. But it's definitely going to be an adventure. I'll be giving you some books to read, some resources, as well as, helping you go through this new midlife you, because you are not 19, 20, 30, 35-year-old that you used to be. And that's okay, because now for me, I feel sexier than I ever have been, child. I'm at the stage where I can have the father, the son, the grandfather, and the great-grandfather. Honey. And you can enjoy all of the attention from all of them without feeling guilty, or somebody telling you you're a whore, or you're not the kind of woman that a man would marry when you've already been married, when you already know that side of it. When you can sit down and have conversations with the elders and they really school you on some things in that department, darling. You can live your free self. You can dress the way you want to dress. You can do the things you want to do with freedom. There is no let me get it right, because we got it wrong all this time by trying to get it right by somebody else's standard. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about sensuality. Of course, we're going to be talking about the sex. Absolutely, we're going to be talking about that, darling. Because one thing I want to tell you that the doctor said, I may do a completely different video about this. One thing the doctor told me, my male doctor and my female doctor, if you don't use it, it'll close. If you don't use it, it'll shrivel up. Especially at this stage and this age. So I have a whole breakdown of what the doctors have shared with me. So we're going to have some laughs, and I'm sure you all will be able to see yourself in some of the things that I am teaching, or not about teaching, but my sharing, because it's not really teaching. It's just me sharing this midlife journey that I'm going through and the parts of it that I have overcome. So welcome to this new midlife stage. And I hope to see you on the other side. Make sure you go to April Mason TV and follow me on, as the old folks go over on the YouTube. Follow me over there on the YouTube, buddy. Oh, y'all just now seeing what I said about the shriveling up. I see it's a delay in the comment section, honey. But I see you. I see him now. But that's what the doctor said. So I'm going to dive into that as well, too. So you guys have a wonderful day and enjoy the rest of your weekend. All right. Bye.